sometimes, even in the midst of using it, there's like these moments of clarity where this is a bit. Something it would just dawn on me, the light would come on and say, wow. So about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was in the area, and met this gentleman, and I said, what are the two most used drugs around here? You're like this. Well, I said, cocaine and alcohol. I said, no, fail. Cocaine and conflict. My name is Hugh, and I'll be 60 years old in a couple of weeks. And I guess this is going to be my story, the ups and downs and all the sideways and the ins and outs. So just buckle up and listen to my life. My life has been riddled with addiction, bad choices, unmet potential, unrealized dreams, broken trust, lost friendships. But it wasn't always like that, and I really, really hope it's not going to continue to be like that. I always want to tell myself that my life's manageable. It's not manageable. I'm still in active addiction. I continue to hope for the best. There are days when I don't use. Sometimes 2-3 days when I don't use. But the cycle is such, consider them 60 years old. The first time I used drugs, I was about 14. So that leaves about 46 years of my life using drugs. So the better part of my life using drugs is the longest active relationship or sustained relationship I have. Is my relationship with my addiction and my drugs. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this in a bragging way. I'm not proud of it. There's no pride in my voice. There's no boasting in my voice. I'm a broken man. My purpose is to not let you be any more Hughes. Not be any more Hughes. To see that, when I go in a drug hole, I see people who 15, 20 years ago used to call me a paro and want to throw rocks at me. They're smoking dope now. Breaks my heart to see these 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds to look back and see me, and then fast forward and see me. I don't want that for them. I don't want that for anybody. I wouldn't want that for my worst enemy, man. I'm serious. What I've been through has got to bear fruit. It's got to. A lot of pain, man. Not just for me. I've inflicted pain. And it's got to bear fruit. It has to. I've done, short sentences pretty much. I've never had a big sentence. When I say big sentence, anything over 5 years, I've never had a big sentence. Thankfully. But I think going to prison saved my life. And being in rehab, it's allowed me to have downtime from my addiction. And in these stints of incarceration, away from the drug, away from the environment, and not just the drug using environment, other environments which help enable me, and environments that I were codependent on, that was me. And I was in those situations. Thank God for good education. Thank God for the sacrifices that people made for me to get the education. I was able to help other people, man. Here in Barbados, I worked in the education department. I taught CXC subjects. Worked with a lot of juveniles who had literacy and numeracy issues. And in doing that, in sewing into other people's lives, I start to feel good about me. So my self-esteem, for the first time in many, many times, was bolstered. No, it's not a paradox. Go to jail, and I start to feel better about me. In the absence of relationship, it's changed. Yeah. Because if you see people, everybody's in this phone. Everybody becomes so antisocial. In becoming antisocial, I cannot connect to you. You cannot connect to me. I can't feel you. You can't feel me. You don't exist. So if you do something that makes me angry and it's conflict, you know how to resolve this conflict? We are being taught to resolve conflict with violence. That's what's going on. The songs talk about it. The rap videos talk about it. TV. It's just what it is, man. No, in my life, at this stage of my life now, I'm about building bridges, not walls or fences. I'm about trying to sow, even though that I know that I still sow bad seeds. I want to sow more good seeds than bad seeds. And one of the ways of doing that is trying to resolve conflict. Now, again, I always try to internalize it first. Resolve the conflict in here, and then start to step out and work to resolve conflict outside. It's sad that the youngsters have this love affair with guns. Well, it's sweet. I had that love affair too when I was young. It's power. I understand that. But why is this great need to just this conflict step to violence? Listen, man, that's being taught in the home. Wake it up, man. But we were taught that too. You want beating. You step offside, I believe it's all connected. That's just me. I believe that's all connected. I know you could tell somebody you try to want beating. The tone alone of beating song's wrong. That's violent. I mean, boxers beat boxers in a boxing ring. It's violence. So we have been conditioned over time to accept violence. This is my opinion. That's how we resolve conflict. At school, the teacher tried to conflict me. She lashed me. Well, that's violent as hell. For a little 10-year-old or 9-year-old. Conflict between me and my teacher. This is violent. Hit you with the strap. Beating. So, to see the transition from that to that ain't a quantum leap for me. Not for me. But then again, you gotta remember, I shifted my life from society at large to this micro society that I live in the drug world. And there everything is amplified. Like I said, the two most popular drugs I see used are cocaine and conflict. Don't get tied up. It's the same neural process. It's the same release of serotonin. Right? It's the same process. So, do I agree with it? No. Do I understand it? Of course. Am I surprised by it? Of course not. And it is going to continue to get worse unless we understand the dynamics. To me, I see it clear as day. I really do. You know, pretty talking can help it. Action. Talking never helped anything in my life, man. People always plague me with it. Oh, you talk sweet. You know, that's God's gift to me. I'm able to communicate. Talk in action, no. Talk's just me moving my mouth and audibleizing how I feel. Action is what it's all about. And I'm going to internalize that. Action is what it's all about for me, to make the leap to sobriety and to stay sober, and for us to deal with the conflict and violence, is action though. Well, first of all, these things don't happen a day at a time. Understanding that it's a process. It is a process, you know. That's what it is. It's not an event. None of these things are an event. It didn't happen all at once. And the process cannot reverse all at once. These things are in the making generations ago. This is how I see it. This is my opinion. I'm not trying to argue with anybody. This is how I see it. This is my reality on the situation as it presents itself to me. You're gonna go inside, and the same thing's outside, man. These things mirror in my life personally. You know, I've been fortunate that I've not been involved in gun violence. I've either as a perpetrator or as a victim of, and for that I'm thankful. I've had many friends I've seen, been in the presence of gun violence, and it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing. You know, it's nothing to feel good about. And shooting somebody or killing somebody, I would imagine. I would hate to have that demon in my life. I got enough demons right now, but I can just imagine, you know. I think they see and understand it because they help perpetrate it. That's what they want. They love, their drug is conflict. And the more conflict there is, the more hype they get. They know exactly what it is. They help create the environment. That's their hype. That's their cocaine. That's their gambling. Conflict. And I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to beat that drum. That's their thing. Part of that process is danger. Because conflict, going on. The cowards bow out. The soft-hearted people go out. But the ones who thrive on violence, who thrive on that, that's their niche. That's their niche. That's what they love. But they don't live long. They kill each other. That's the consequence of that choice. That's the consequence of trying to exacerbate and inflame that conflict. And you know what? You don't start with the gun, you know. You see the words? Got to have the last word. Got to be up on the pecking order. All them things there. You don't have to have the last word. You ain't soft if you turn your back and not up. You know what? I was trying to tell them that your silence is louder than your voice. Your silence is more powerful than anything. At least that's my experience. Something I learned recently. And silence is not just audible. It's quelling conflict. And in quelling conflict, we subdue the violence. It's not an event, it's a process. If they happen to live as long as that I've been fortunate enough to live, mired in the consequences of my choices, they would tell themselves, like I'm telling myself, this is the life I wanted. This is not the life I wanted. And so for the young people, yeah, I'm 60, I'm an old man, rah. You can't relate to me. I can relate to you though. I know the choices I see you making. I made them choices too. It may not be to pick up a gun. It may not be in a gang. But choices pretty much have the same effect. The package is just different. It's different packaging. But the choices to be disobedient, the choices to do what you want to do regardless of what people tell you, the choice to do what you see other people doing and getting messed up But your consequences, you tell yourself it can't happen to you, you are lying to yourself. Like I lied to myself.